We are here with a special episode today of the Walk On Red Shirts. Today we have a Georgia Tech signee, Luke Harpring, with us. And special episode because you've already signed, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes,
So get a little bit of a look inside of your recruitment, your path, your journey, and then what you're looking forward to getting there at Georgia Tech. So starting off, could you just talk about, your recruitment? So at what point did you know that like you were going to be a Division I football player?
That's a good question. I mean, there wasn't like really one defining like moment or like thing that happened. But it was just kind of like over the years, it's always been a goal of mine. Really for as long as I can remember, it's been a goal of mine. And I just kind of kept grinding and kept pushing hard and trying to strive to achieve my goal. And eventually like opportunities came out and I was able to take advantage of opportunities and yeah, be a D1 player.
So at what point did you start your recruitment? Like, a lot of kids you see, they go to camps, they go on visits, what age, like what year were you when you went on your first visit or started going to some of those camps?
Yeah, so really when it started picking up, I guess when it kind of just started was my sophomore year. My sophomore year, that was my first year starting on varsity. Um, I played football and basketball and baseball at the time years before. But then sophomore year, I just narrowed down to basketball and football. And sophomore year, I did my first. We had a connection. We knew someone up at Notre Dame, so I had a little visit up at Notre Dame for a game day, and that was kind of the first like real thing that I've been to. And then junior year, obviously I had a pretty good season, and that really helped, with my recruitment. I went to a couple camps going into my junior year. I actually went to a Georgia Tech camp. I went to Duke camp, and then I went to a couple like mega camps where like a bunch of people were there. Um, and then going into the junior year, I had a pretty good season my junior year, and then coming into my senior year, I kind of selected like a few, like kind of the schools that are really kind of narrowed down and then where I could see myself going. So it was a lot of like ACC schools like Carolina, Duke, um, Virginia, obviously Georgia Tech. Um, and yeah, those were kind of like the core, um, like places where I honed in on. Um, and then yeah, obviously I went to camp at Tech and I did pretty good, and then I got the offer, and so yeah, the rest is
So when you were going through your recruitment, your legacy, I read that your dad played at Georgia Tech. Did that have an impact for you? Like, did you grow up wanting to go to Georgia Tech, or were you intrigued by Coach Key and what they were building there more than anything?
I mean, yeah, I've always kind of been around Georgia Tech, I would say, but I mean, I wasn't like the biggest like Georgia Tech fan. Like I kind of just like, I mean, I go to a couple games every year and whatnot, but really just meeting like Coach Key and the rest of the staff kind of really drove in my like commitment towards Georgia Tech, and just being around like all the other guys and all the coaches, and it really felt like the place to be. So that kind of just made the decision easy.
So speaking of the decision, like when did you know that you were ready to commit? Because I know you see all these stories of, some kids, they wait till, towards the end. Some kids, they just want to lock it down and be done. At what point did you know that you were ready to commit to Georgia Tech?
Yeah. I mean, with like the transfer portal and everything that going on, like nowadays, it's kind of really hard to commit like really late, I would say. Especially like, cause like just now, like the portal just opened. So I was like, okay, well, I'm thinking me like as a high school player, like I need to sign early before all these portal kids come in. so I can get my spot locked in. So like my real goal was to sign before the senior season this year. Um, and after, I mean, I took my visit, um, and I took like a couple weeks, or I think it was like a week or so, um, kind of just weighed all my options. And then I decided that, after the visit and just putting everything together, Georgia Tech was a place to go. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Coach Key looks like he's building something good there. He went to Georgia Tech, so it's always good when you see a guy that played there and then, he also coaches there. It feels like there's just a little bit of a different
yeah, for
for,
sure.
for him. There's a little more pride in it because it's his alma mater as well.
Yeah.
Of course, you want to do well for your university, but when it's your own, it's probably a little bit different sense of pride right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned transfer portal, and I guess this is more of a general question, might maybe not be for you, but as people that you've got to know, and different recruits, maybe going to Georgia Tech, going elsewhere, like what kind of conversations are there? Because you see it open, you see players moving around. There's something like 1,200, 1,400 players in the portal moving around. Does that have an impact on your decision, seeing who might be moving around?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the portal it's a really big, I guess you could say change to college football. Has it
Mm-hmm.
been in the past couple of years? I mean, as kind of, I mean, as a recruit for me, I mean, I guess in my position, I've always been, committed to Georgia Tech,
Mm-hmm.
so I haven't really been as worried as other guys that say that weren't committed. Because I mean, as I said earlier, like signing early is kind of a big a big deal. Like I think, um,
Mm-hmm.
like my personal opinion, because I feel like once you sign early, like you kind of just get it out of the way and you kind of really secure your spot and I mean like so like you're not putting yourself up for gamble for a transfer player. And I mean some players, I mean they sign later and then they end up kind of getting screwed because the school decides to take a transfer player instead of a high school recruit, which is, I mean, honestly, as a coaching perspective, I mean, like if you have a guy that's already proven himself in college football, like I don't know, like technically why you would take a chance on a high school player, if you know what I mean. Like, so it kind of gets a kind of it's a whole mess, to be honest with you. Like, it's it's really complicated. And I mean for me, I guess I'm not in college yet, so I don't really have to worry about like, you know, as much as like a guy that would be in like at attending the school right now. But I mean, yeah, it's still a big kind of thing.
And obviously, nobody as a recruit is planning here to be 1 year later into the transfer portal.
Oh yeah.
But obviously, life changes, situation changes. It's kind of a double edged sword. It's great for the players because if they're not in a good situation, they can move. But at the same time, for recruits, they can kind of get locked out if a coach decides that they want to. Like a Deion Sanders, where they're relying on the portal. Bringing last year, he brought in like 70 players or something like that.
Yeah.
So very different situation.
For sure.
Uh, so one other kind of topic in here that's very big commodity in college football is NIL. What kind do you, the conversations that you hear are recruits still going to where they want to go, or has NIL started to, make an impact on that?
um you know, I think it definitely weighs on the decision of like particular players, especially like big like five stars, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of that just have like really wherever they want to go. um but I mean, I guess to be honest, it's personal preference too. Like, I mean, if you really like a couple places and you really like three, just for example, like if you really like three schools and they all really like sound really good to you, and the deciding factor is, well, one's going to pay you a lot more money than the other. I mean, I guess your decision is kind of easy at that point if you kind of know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, I mean, NIL is also like kind of a new thing too, and it kind of has been a little. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but it's a lot, to be honest. Like,
there's no guardrails really.
yeah,
There's nobody holding anybody accountable is what it seems
yeah,
like, at least.
yeah. hmm
It's kind of just like the
There's a
wild
lot of
west out there.
loopholes. Yeah, a lot of loopholes.
Yeah. College football used to have a bunch of loopholes, and now it feels like, it's basically Swiss cheese. You can find a loophole no matter where you look.
Yeah, I don't really have any experience with NIL, obviously, because I'm not in Georgia Tech yet. But I mean, I've heard stories about some players like getting houses bought for them, like cars, and
Oh, I believe it.
too. And I'm like, wow, like
I believe it.
I would
So
go to where if they're gonna buy a house from me.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So I want to go back to you here. You're heading into your freshman year. Are you planning on enrolling early, or are you going to enroll in the summertime?
I'm in the summer.
Okay. So
Yeah.
for you heading into that, what is going to be your expectations, your goals for your freshman season?
I'm really just I'm gonna do my best in camp, do my best all summer, and whatever plays out, plays out. I really, that's my goal to play. I mean, I want to be a starter. That's my goal. But and if the opportunity presents itself somewhere else, then I'm gonna have to, drop it there. And where, like, all I know is like I all I can do is my best, and if that doesn't work out, then that's fine. I mean, I'll just wait till the next year and grind it out again. But I'm gonna fight, all I can for a starting job. And I feel like, I definitely can be a starter. I can see myself playing, on the field with all the other guys. So, I'm just really looking forward to it.
So for you in the springtime, obviously you won't be on campus. Are there conversations with your coaches about, workout regimens, or, practice films, or things that they want you to work on before you get on campus?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I talked to a bunch of the coaches. I talked to my position coach a ton. Um, I get there June 1st, so that's gonna be like the first day officially that I'm on, like doing stuff with the team. But yeah, he's telling me like workout and like drills and stuff to do, and just kind of keep up with all the other guys that did early enroll. So
And then, so your first game will be here before you know it. We're still in bowl season. I know Georgia Tech just finished up; they won their bowl game, but your first game will be here before you know it. Can you even imagine what it's going to be like that first time you run out in that field when you're wearing that Georgia Tech uniform?
yeah, it's gonna be crazy. To be honest, like, I mean, it's a dream come true. To be honest with you, like, our first game's in Ireland too. I'm pretty sure it's the first game of the season, of the college football season. So that's going to be just a crazy experience in itself. But yeah, I mean, obviously running out the tunnel for the first time, it's going to be pretty surreal, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you taking about 15 minutes to today. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll be rooting for you as you go through your journey.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke.
All right. Bye-bye.